Nabil Seyam, R.J. Dickens, James Barfield, and now KCTU5 presents Wichita's longest-running talk program, the River City Forum.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday night edition of the River City Forum. I'm glad you could join us this evening. I think you're going to be really glad you did too. It's going to be a lively discussion and we'll get to that very shortly. Want to remind you to pick up a prospector because in the prospector on page 5 you will find the program guide for TV5 as well as the River City Forum columns written by Ron Nutt and myself, and the R.J. Dickens Kansas Journal, which can usually be found on page 8 of the prospector. It's information that you won't find anywhere else. It's a good idea to keep it around all week so you always know what's on TV5. You can also find our program guide in the Hayesville Times, and if you live in USD School District 261, you can subscribe to the Hayesville Times and have it delivered to your door every Saturday. And I believe the subscription price is a very reasonable $20 a year. So that's another way to get our program guide if you live in that district. Want to remind you to be sure and watch your hour every day at noon. We try to bring you lots of information, lots of organizations and events that are going on in Wichita. We like to bring you up to date on all of those. And we're going to start televising live high school football games, and we were going to do the very first one of the season tomorrow night. However, because of the Gulf Coast situation, the network, the iNetwork, is having a benefit tomorrow night. They're preempting all of their regular programming, and they're having a telethon. We are going to participate in that telethon locally, and because of that, we can't do the game and do the telethon. So we are going to forego tomorrow night's football game, but the following week, next Friday the 9th, we will be bringing you a high school football game. So for those of you who were looking forward to football, I'm sorry, but we will be bringing it to you starting next Friday. And right now we're going to go to break. When we come back, I will be introducing you to all of our guests here this evening, and we'll be talking about the gambling issue. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the River City Forum. Co-hosting with me this evening is Dr. Nabil Seyam, and he is, of course, our Monday night River City Forum host. With us this evening are Dee Stewart, who think that it's probably not going to come as any shock to most people that we're going to be discussing the gambling issue this evening, and as well, it's probably not going to come as any great shock to people as to which side of the issue our guests are on. So before we will open the phones to callers, of course. Our viewers are always welcome to call in and make comments and ask questions. That's what this show is all about. But first, we're going to allow each of our guests, Dee Stewart first and then Mr. Whiting, to talk to us and give us a little synopsis as to their stand on the issue and why they feel the way they do. So, Dee?
I guess I would have to say that I am pro-casino. I'm not a big gambler. I think I've been to casinos 4 times in my entire life. I lose my quarters, hit my husband up for whatever's left of his, and we're out the door. It is entertainment for us, and we enjoy it. We don't enjoy it frequently, obviously, but we enjoy it. What we have asked for is a referendum, and that's what I've been working towards, is finding a way to convince the county commissioners that the people in Sedgwick County deserve the right to vote whether they want to have a casino in Sedgwick County or whether they don't want to. And that's all we've asked for, is an up or down vote. The main reason that I've supported it is jobs. There's no such thing as too many jobs, and This would be the biggest construction project ever done in Sedgwick County. The casino that's proposed for Park City would offer 2,500 full-time permanent jobs, and they're not minimum wage jobs. They're good, they're well-paying jobs. And there would be 1,500 construction jobs. Now, I sat down this morning with an architect, and we were trying to figure out what the sales tax revenue would be for just the $186 million of materials and labor that would go into building this casino. And even not even figuring tax on labor, and we're thinking in the neighborhood of $6 million. Wow. $6 million in a year and a half to 2 years that it would take to construct this project. That's one of the main reasons that I am a proponent. I see a lot of revenues coming in. The current proposal, there's a bill in the Kansas House of Representatives that's lying there since leftover from the last session. It's House Bill 2014, and it would call for the construction of resort casinos, destination-style casinos. They're not just gambling venues. They're hotels, they're restaurants, they're theaters, they're convention centers. And there would be one in Sedgwick County, there would be one in Crawford County, there would be one in Wyandotte County, according to this proposal. And the state would see revenues of $50 million if everything went according to this proposal and the Indian tribes paid the upfront money for the gaming license. These casinos would not be built with taxpayers' dollars. They would not be owned, the buildings and the land would not be owned by the state. The gaming license would be owned by the state, and the license would be leased to the Indian tribes to operate the casinos. They would be on fee land, which means they would pay real estate taxes, they would pay sales taxes, they would be subject to all inspections, they would pay bed taxes, any tax that any other business would pay, they would pay. And the amounts are staggering. And I see that as, this is a huge economic development boost for Sedgwick County. I see a lot of our tourist attractions that are failing, and I think this could bring in a lot of people. The Christensen report, which was commissioned by the legislature, predicted 2 million visitors in the first year. And that's 2 million visitors that would spend their money not just in a casino, but in surrounding businesses. You know, if we set up shuttles, we could develop a whole South Central Kansas tourism around a casino.
Thank you, Dee. And Gary, what is your view?
Good evening. Voices of the Heartland was formed at the end of November 2004 in response to a decision by the Park City Council to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska to build an Indian-owned casino within the city limits of Park City. There are many citizens in the Park City area as well as in South Central Kansas that believe this would be a bad idea. We disagree with the economic numbers which are represented by Dee Stewart and Mr. Bob Knight, who's working with the Iowa Tribe. We believe that although there would be the creation of jobs within the casino, that ultimately the number of jobs created would be equaled by the jobs washed out by businesses that are forced out of business because of the competition from the casino. In addition, my research does not indicate that casinos are paying high-level jobs. In fact, they are on the low-level and near poverty-level jobs, and I hope to speak to that a little bit later. We are opposed to the tremendous social consequences associated with casinos. Although, if you look at percentages, it looks like a very small number of individuals that are affected by the gambling addiction problem. The study done for the Wichita Downtown Development Corporation mentions that as many as 7,800 problem or pathological gamblers would be created because of the formation of a casino in the South Central Kansas. This represents thousands of families that will be subject to increased rates of bankruptcy, spouse and child abuse, divorces, a definite increase in crimes, and there are tremendous social costs both to government as well as to business and individuals with this type of a business being formed in South Central Kansas. So it's on these bases that we have organized and are attempting to educate individuals to rise up and oppose this particular effort. So that's what we're about.
Thank you, Gary. And Nabil, do you have